Moment of truth. Yes! Oh, we love it. All right, today is December 12th, 2024. It is a Thursday, a school zone day, potentially a burrito day. Potentially. There's a good reason for it to be a burrito day. I do worry about being able to get to work on time. I think instead, it is not a burrito day. We're gonna ride without it today. Gonna run directly to work. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We might collect $200. And I forgot my bracelet today. It's an interesting start. I think we have everything else we need though. Okay. Yeah, we don't need the burrito. Anytime we're on the fence, again, we covered this. There's already a downside to buying the burrito. We have to be excited enough for it to spend the $5. I don't know if I am. Get up a little earlier. Prioritize making a home-cooked breakfast. Maybe a better option. But me personally, I don't know. Let's get some heat going. So I have a theory about the battery. As far as I can figure, it's one of two things. It's either a weak battery that has become weaker in the winter months, which would be preferable. But the truth of the matter is, I've only had trouble starting the truck after short trips. I wonder, there's a couple different things that could be going on. Extreme weather, my question is what's different today? And the thing that's mainly different today is I don't think it was quite as cold. It's 30. If it drops below, if it starts getting in the low 20s, then maybe if that's the cause for loss of power, then maybe that's a battery issue and I need to get a higher quality battery for the winter time. However, if it's short trips that are causing the issue, then the problem is with the alternator, which is probably about as expensive. If we're talking an alternator for this truck versus like a good battery, I'm gonna flip it. Gonna let me go. Heck yeah! All right, we got some construction here. Something. It's interesting. There's so much that goes into the infrastructure. There's so many. He's using the big words now. So but just so much behind the curtain, right? Under the roads, all of the different systems that bring us all of the amenities that we're used to. I think it's interesting stuff. All right, so the second issue, if it's the alternator issue, I think the big thing is it just requires more work. It's easy enough to take off, but I don't want to do that in the winter. It sucks. It's butt ass cold out here. I'm not. No, thank you. It's pretty easy to find out. It's almost like I don't want to know, but I'll have to find out. We go to AutoZone as free testing. Test the output of the alternator, make sure it's working okay, and if that's the case, if it's not okay, I'll replace the alternator, and if it is okay, I'll replace the battery. Not a big deal. What is a big deal is we are encroaching upon Christmas time and then January 6th, which is a hell of a thing to talk about. I'm going to get flagged for this. It's like, why is he so excited about January 6th? Oh no. Buddy, it's different. I have a slated release date on my file, and I still haven't bugged my PO about it. I don't know. It is one of those things where maybe I just want to cling on to hope, but that's probably dumb. I should just send her a quick email and ask her, like, hey, I saw what you did. Give her the old I saw an update. Just tell her pretty much exactly what happened. Hey, I saw an update on Vine that says I have a scheduled release date for January 6th. Is there anything I need to do on my end, or is that accurate? What's going on? It'd be nice to get something back, but it's also possible. I mean, if I was going to throw a dart at it, if it's like, other jobs, it might have been a situation where it's like, okay, no, he's been doing good, yeah, let's put in a request for early release, got it, okay, and then completely forget about it. Alright, off to the other 50 plus probationers that I have on my caseload. It's like, I get it. Man, it'd be nice to know. Suppose, soup and salad. I'm thinking about what my best strategy to eat today is, and I think I'll do the soup and salad. I'll see if someone can ring it in for me pretty early on. Try and stay above board. Thing is, if I am even in a minor position of leadership within a company, I don't want to undermine the strategy, the manager's strategies, right? It's not a good thing to do, just in general. I think it's something that I could do and I could get away with. But it's like, then, what am I doing? What kind of person am I? At that point, I'm kind of just taking advantage of my position, which is normal. That is a normal thing to do. But it doesn't feel right. The issue is, for the uninformed, we have, and this will come in many forms, but at Olive Garden, I've sort of gotten above the cloud layer where I'm no longer considered. I don't think the managers I think the managers as a group got together, and I know because I've done this as a manager, and determined that myself and like a handful of other servers are just not. You don't really need to manage these people. They kind of just do their jobs. You leave them alone, and instead of being told what to do, we're asked. It's nice, right? And when we're asked, we do it. It's pretty, I don't know, we have a very adult relationship with the managers. I'd like to think, at a certain point. There's negotiation, there's give and take. It's a little bit of like mutual respect there. It's nice, it's earned. But the problem is, with that respect, at times, if I'm pushed too far, if a manager asks me something to do that's outside of my purview, I will absolutely decline the offer. And I think that's okay. That's, I'm a big boy. I can tell people no. It took a lot of years to figure that out, It's not something that comes naturally to everyone. You say no too often, you get excluded as well. I The optimal strategy, which is something I strive for but fall short of, is to be always willing to help, but too busy to be taken advantage of. I think maybe that's a good way to put it. Because we could collapse this into a dichotomy, right? So we could say, a false because every dichotomy is a false dichotomy. Shit, we were supposed to do no absolutes ever. Well, we'll make an exception here. So, it's what is it called? Dualism. From what I understand, dualism is like a particular form of delusion, and the idea comes from, I think, Buddhist culture. Not 100% sure on any of this, but I think I might be right about this. The point is, the idea is that it's tempting to paint things in black and white colors, right, and create dichotomies. You're either a Democrat, Republican, you're either aggressive or defensive, you're either this or that, and if you do that with everything, you miss out on everything in the middle. And if you think of things on one axis, you miss an entire axis this way, and potentially another axis that comes out that way. It's a very limiting way of thinking. But we're still going to do it from time to time because it makes it easy. That's why I say collapse something into a dichotomy. It's like understanding what a square is by unfolding it and laying it flat. That's what we're doing here. But we do recognize that the square is, a different entity than what it is when it's laid flat. So, the dichotomy, or the 2 points that we can look at, the axis that we can look at for this, when it comes to agreeableness when working with other people. On one end, we have extremely agreeable, where anything that needs to be done, we'd call this the nice person. A lot of people, you've probably met one. Anything you need, I got you. They're always around. They're always there to help. They are more susceptible to being taken advantage of. They're a lot more vulnerable. But everyone likes them and usually protects them. That's kind of on the more agreeable side. That's, I think, the function of it. And then, sort of like how a community, if they have a single apple tree and someone tries to take an axe to it, they're gonna hang that motherfucker. They will take them out. It will be brutal. That's their source of food. You don't fuck with the apple tree. The apple tree never did anything to you, and it only provides. Don't fuck with the apple tree. But if no one's around to protect the apple tree, it ain't gonna do anything if someone comes at it with an axe, right? That's the metaphor for the agreeable person, an effective agreeable person. Especially, so we could talk about this, if the apple tree stops appling, if it stops providing, might be good reason to chop it down for firewood, right? So that's kind of I would say the motivators for a very agreeable person. On the other end of this, you have disagreeable people. So these are like your fighters, your warrior personality. I'm not going to do anything for you unless it benefits me, or unless there's an equal exchange of goods. We're talking, highly analytical behavior. Does not care at all about being liked or respected even by other people. This is what I would say is the individualist, right? We'd say the individualist and the socialist, not to confuse the term with the economic philosophy, but just on a very strictly, the person operates, makes decisions based on social values rather than individual values. So, I mean, that's one way we can define this axis, is the individualist and the socialist, right? So, the socialist would care about the needs of others, self. And I think there's some bad connotations associated with individualism. Because again, at the extreme, this is a very selfish attitude. So along this axis, of course, you have no one who's completely, it's a line. It goes infinitely in both directions. So you'll have, I'd imagine, some kind of like bell curve distribution of people along this one particular axis of personality that we can talk about. Most people are going to be in the center of the bell curve, with outliers on either side. And I think what you'll find in the center is this kind of pull between those two energies, or between those two attitudes, where it's like, I want to be protected. I want to be the apple tree that's protected by the people around me, because I know that, like an apple tree, I don't quite have the defenses to protect myself. It feels good, it feels secure to be accepted in a society, right? Or in a community, we'll say. Society's too big. We'll say in a community, in a tribe. I think in my mind, I guess that's how I would say it, is a tribe is a group of like 50 or less people. A community is slightly bigger than that. And then like a small town, and then a society would be like, I think we could say like the size of a country, but it's not the whole world. You have different societies. I think that's kind of how we're roughly defining it. So at a community level, we want to be accepted by our community. We need to be accepted by our tribe, even if that's one other person. And that's in the middle of the bell curve. You go up the individualism axis, you start to find people who have very few, like one or two good friends, and they don't really talk to anyone else. You go toward the agreeableness side of the social side of the axis. You find people who have, like, again, maybe one or two close friends that they can trust, but they have a wide range of, like, peripheral people that they can talk to and trust in certain ways and levels, and they kind of manage that. Either intuitively, I would say, or consciously. I think both is possible. But a management of trust is always needed at some level, even if one's not particularly conscious of it. And proof of that, I guess you could see, would be like when there's friction in any of those relationships, you'll see sort of this pulling back. Like, I talked to my buddy and we watched football, but now he wants me to help him move, and I'm like, I guess I could do that, but I don't really want to. Those moments of conflict sort of define the edges of the relationship, or the boundaries. Conflict defining territory, right? So that's the axis I'd collapse a couple of these ideas into, if that makes sense. And the reason that's useful is because, I think it is important to walk the middle line there a lot of times. I don't think a person can survive well being a rugged individualist. It kind of goes into, I think at the extreme individualist side, you have a situation where, I think about this a lot when people say they want to be independent and they don't want people telling them what to do. They want to live their own life and be separate from all this societal bullshit. I get it, man. It's not enjoyable to compromise with a community of people around you. But the thing is, the community, the synergy created by people working together, we all benefit from that. Every person does. And if there's pullback or pushback on that, I guess the thought experiment is be completely independent. Okay? Because all of your clothes were made by another person. They were all designed by a person separate from that, and they were all distributed to you by a person separate than that, and then another person had to manage the money, right? So you don't get clothes unless you made them yourself. Okay, so you can make your own clothes. You're going to need tools for that, so you'll have to craft those tools out of some sticks and stones in the backyard. Great. So, okay, all right, you are a rugged individualist, you are a survivor man, you have crafted your own tools and your clothes, and you're hunting and you're fishing and you're having a good time doing that. But there's one thing that you might have forgotten about, and that's that all of the knowledge that you used to do all of those things also produced by the synergy of sharing ideas. Now, yes, it came from a balance between social production and individualistic separateness, right? I think that tension between is what creates creativity a lot of times. But all of that knowledge is not yours. You didn't come up with it. It's the axiom, or the adage. I think it's an adage, the saying. It's you didn't, good job you for pulling yourself up by your own shoelaces. But you didn't pull yourself up. They're not even your shoelaces. There is one set of footprints, and they ain't yours. A lot of times, man, that's true. And it sucks. It was a hit to the pride, a hit to the ego. But it is true. So, with that in mind, my plan for today is I'm going to maintain as much of my individuality as I can to keep myself safe, because the people around me might not always be there. They might not be as responsive in close proximity, or as close of proximity as I am to myself, so I can provide more immediate protection. So we'll maintain some individuality, but we're also going to negotiate with the community around us, because we'd have to do that anyway. And if we refuse to do that, the community around me starts, they get to choose the terms. You can't opt out. You can opt to not negotiate. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Well, that's what we're going to do today. Wish me luck. I hope you have a great day.